Hello everyone and welcome back to Jus de Rose. Today's video is about the worst niche fragrances according to Instagram. So I did a little Instagram poll. I like to do these once in a while, asking my audience what are the best, what are the worst designer or niche fragrances. So this time it is the worst niche fragrance edition. And yes, I look like a Dylan Blue Versace bottle. As always, I will share my thoughts on these fragrances as well and will give you some alternatives that you can try. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. And coming in at number 10, we have Ani by Nishane. Now this is a peculiar vanilla fragrance, and I'm not gonna lie, the first time I smelled it, I was like, I don't think this is for me. So what's peculiar about this scent is that there's a lot going on and it's not what you would expect from a vanilla fragrance. I don't know, when it comes to vanilla fragrance, I expect something that is sweet, enveloping, and warm, and cozy. And I don't really get that with Ani. So there's a lot going on. It's very complex and there's lots of different kind of notes. So it's a spicy, green, fruity vanilla. There's a green note, which is very different to, as I said, a traditional vanilla. You also have some like berry fruitiness going on and a lot of spices with cardamom. This perfume to me is very hot and dry. The dryness of this scent makes me think of the inside of a sauna. The feeling that you get on your skin when you're in a sauna, that is kind of the feeling of hot and dryness that I get from Ani. So it's quite peculiar. It's not for everyone, but I can appreciate the craft that went into it. So as an alternative to Ani, I would recommend two fragrances. The first one is Eau Duelle, the Eau de Parfum from Diptyque. The Eau de Parfum is the bottle that comes with the black background and then a little bit of white, as opposed to the Eau de Toilette, which is mainly a white label with a little bit of black. So go for the Eau de Parfum version. It is a green vanilla as well, very warm and dry, similar to Ani, but I find to be a little bit more rounded and more likable, so less polarizing, I would say. Ani, again, is a beautiful fragrance, but I think that when it comes to Eau Duelle, it's just easier to understand. If you want a easier going fragrance as opposed to Ani, then I would go for Eau Duelle, the Eau de Parfum by Diptyque. Otherwise, the second choice I would recommend to you is Angélique Noir from Guerlain. Another green vanilla, but very fresh and juicy compared to Ani. So Ani, as I said, is hot and dry, whereas Angélique Noir is very refreshing. And what I like about it is that it has a big pop of pear. So it's a juicy pear mixed with some green notes as well, and this really gorgeous, delicious, sweet vanilla. It's not going to be an overly sweet perfume, very complex, unusual. So if you're looking for a unique smelling vanilla, just like Ani by Nishane and also Eau Duelle, Angélique Noir is another one that I invite you to discover. This next fragrance really breaks my heart because it is one of my favorite perfumes of all time, Gris Charnel from BDK. So many people have been saying that it is overrated, it's not worth it, or that, you know, it just smells pretty average, nothing special. I completely disagree with that. I adore this fragrance, but you know what? When I first tried it, I wasn't obsessed with it either. I was like, I don't get the hype around this perfume. But then I went back, tried it again months later, and I sprayed it on my skin, and I just loved the way that it smelled. And I couldn't stop smelling my wrist where I had applied the fragrance all day. It was so beautiful, so I went to the store, bought it, and as you can see, I have quite a serious dent in this perfume. This perfume smells like a spicy chai latte with little bits of fig in it. If you want a fragrance that is heavier on the tea note, I'd recommend you go for Thé Noir 29 from Le Labo. The two do not smell the same. There's not a single perfume that I found that smells like Gris Charnel, but this one is heavier on the tea. There's also some fig in it, and instead of cardamom, you have bay leaves. So it's a spicy black tea with some fruity nuances. The fig in this perfume isn't front and center. It is much less sweet than BDK's Gris Charnel. This is not a sweet perfume, by the way. It is spicy black tea, really, really great tea scent, and in my opinion, this is one of the best Le Labo fragrances. Like, forget Santal 33, I would definitely go and buy Thé Noir 29. Now, if you like the sweetness of Gris Charnel, but you dislike the powdery dry down, because there is some iris in Gris Charnel that not everyone likes in the dry down, I would recommend you go for Bewitching Yasmine by Penhaligon. Again, not the same fragrance, but you have the cardamom, an addictive note of coffee, you have oud, incense. This is is sweet, delicious, sexy, and intoxicating. Gris Charnel isn't a particularly sexy fragrance. It's beautiful, but it's not sexy. Bewitching Yasmine by Penhaligon is sexy, and it has that like sweet addictiveness, which is super nice, and not a lot of people have this perfume / talk about it, so it's an underrated gem. And then also we have Lune Feline. Lune Feline is really heavy on the cardamom. If you like the cardamom of Gris Charnel, you're gonna really love the Lune Feline one. Lune Feline is a spicy cardamom vanilla sponge cake. Delicious, another sexy vanilla scent. It is woody, smoky, sweet with that kick of cardamom, whereas here it is more addictive and coffee and a little bit thicker. So these two fragrances are fantastic, are great as well for autumn and winter time, and in my opinion would be great alternatives to Gris Charnel. Next up we have Layton from Parfums de Marly. I'm really sad to see this fragrance on this list because personally I think it's a great masculine fragrance. I feel that with Layton it is a victim of its own success. Like a lot of people have talked about it online, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, and like I feel maybe people are getting tired of seeing this scent over and over again. That is just my take on it. Layton, in my opinion, is also an entry-level niche fragrance. Now, what does that mean? It really bridges the gap between niche and designer fragrances. So designer fragrances that everyone has smelled, that everyone knows, versus a niche perfumes that can be a little bit challenging. And Layton really hits the sweet spot because it's a very likable fragrance, but the DNA is still quite unique. That being said, a lot of people have said that Layton is a mix of very popular designer fragrances, but then it has a high price tag. So I can understand why some people can be upset. Now, there's no alternative really to Layton. However, I have smelt an affordable fragrance from Rochas, which is L'Homme, the Eau Duelle, that is a nod to Layton. It doesn't smell the same, okay? Don't quote me on it, but when I smelled this perfume, I was like, like that could be Layton's maybe distant cousin. So I would recommend you go and try this fragrance out. It's on the more affordable side. I feel like you can find it at discounters. So if the price point is a barrier, definitely have a sniff of L'Homme by Rochas. Coming in at number 6, I don't have a fragrance per se. However, I have two brands that have popped up a lot actually in the answers, and they are Montale and Mancera. Now, the general consensus and feedback that I got from my audience with these brands is that they smell very synthetic, which is why they're not drawn to these perfumes. Do I agree? Yes and no. I have found one fragrance for each brand that I would recommend to you that I really enjoy and I think are worth getting, but I agree in general there is a synthetic note, like something in the dry down bothers me with these fragrances, especially on Montale, which is why I don't own any of these perfumes. Now, the fragrances that I recommend from each of these are the following. For Montale, I would go for Oud Tobacco. Beautiful, creamy tobacco scent. It is sexy. It has also some ylang ylang, so it's powerful, has an exotic touch. Like, this fragrance is 100% like a 10 out of 10. I would recommend it for date night. Stunning, powerful, long-lasting, and projects a lot. When it comes to Mancera, I would go for Cedrat Boise. Beautiful, juicy citrus with an addictive, smoky pineapple notes. Creed Aventus, who? No, I'm kidding. It doesn't smell like Creed Aventus, but it has that addictive, like smoky pineapple thing going on. It is very refreshing. It's long-lasting as well. I feel like it's a fragrance that a lot of people can like, and it's easy to understand. So versatile, likable, compliment getting, and you can wear it pretty much all summer, even all year round, if you will, if you like fresher fragrances. Next up, we have Santal 33 from Le Labo. This is another fragrance that I feel is a victim to its own success. I feel like a lot of people have smelt it. It's very powerful. It has a unique DNA, like this leather sandalwood thing going on. It's not for everyone, super polarizing, so that could be a factor as well. I don't like the way it smells on me personally, but I do like the way that it smells on other people. So when it comes to Santal 33, I have two alternatives that have a similar DNA, but in my opinion are more wearable than Santal 33. So the first one is Peau Santal from Miller Harris. Now, this perfume is really beautiful if you like creamy sandalwoods. Creamy sandalwood heaven is this scent. It's not too sweet. It is done just right. I like the fact that It is very fresh as well. So this is a refreshing, creamy sandalwood. It has almost a cucumbery effect, like a cooling cucumbery effect. Quite peculiar, but really likable. It blends beautifully on the skin and it dries down a little musky as well. This is Chef's Kiss sandalwood perfume. The next fragrance is much more affordable. It is called Energetically New York from Zara. A great dupe for Santal 33. Again, fresher, but more on the marine side. So it has a distinctive marine DNA that the other fragrances don't have. Between this one and the Peau Santal from Miller Harris, I would for sure go for Peau Santal. I mean, it is complex, like it feels more qualitative than the Zara one. But if you don't have the budget and you want to get a fresher, more aquatic take on Santal 33, I find that Energetically New York is a fantastic perfume, and it also lasts a really long time and projects fairly well as well. So it's a great Zara fragrance and I recommend you try it out if you want a very affordable version of Santal 33. Coming in at number 3, we have Creed Aventus. This has got to be the most popular niche fragrance that has been cloned 1,000 times. Now, do you still need to be getting it this year? I don't think so. Personally, I used to really enjoy the DNA of it and I would recommend it to you, but today I feel like there's too much variations in the batches. The prices are really high and you can get just as good of a scent DNA with more affordable fragrances. So I don't think it's worth investing your money on unless like you're a hardcore Creed fan. So for me, I would recommend, for example, Montblanc Explorer, which is very affordable compared to Creed Aventus. It has super similar scent profile, less smoky pineapple thing going on, so perhaps less polarizing as well. The dry down is pretty similar, but the downside with Montblanc Explorer is that it doesn't have a monstrous performance. It's not going to last for ages, but more on the affordable side. So that is a good one. Now, if you want something a little bit different and less common than Creed Aventus, but that has that really charismatic, likable DNA that still is fresh and versatile that you can wear all year round, I would recommend Gentle Fluidity Silver by Maison Kurkdjian. I have talked so much about this fragrance on my channel. This is a really beautiful, addictive, fresh gin and tonic kind of fragrance, like a luxurious gin and tonic, may I add, with a little bit of amber and vanilla in the base. It is very likable. You have lots of ambroxan as well, but it's not like an astringent ambroxan. It's the ambroxan that is super likable, addictive, and that will leave a beautiful scent trail. It lasts 12 hours plus on my skin with a huge projection, so you'll get a lot of use out of this scent. It's just, yeah, a fantastic perfume from Maison Kurkdjian. If you haven't tried it already, definitely do so. It is a fantastic, like, versatile collection builder perfume, and also an easy entry into niche. I find a great bridge between designer and niche fragrances. Number 2 is Delina by Parfums de Marly. This perfume is either really loved and everyone just wants to wear all the time, or it's hated. I don't understand what it is. I feel like it's another one that, because it's been talked about so much, especially online, like people are like, okay, like I need to find something else. I find Delina to be super nice. I do enjoy the DNA. That being said, I don't reach out for it as much as I should. And the reason being is that I find it to be super strong and a little bit too sweet for my tastes. So with that in mind, if you don't want something that is super strong and super sweet with that green rhubarb note, I have a great alternative to Delina. It is Lust in Paradise from Ex Nihilo. This perfume has a really refreshing, like peony and musky DNA, which is super nice. It has that elegant touch of Delina, but without the sweetness and the harshness of rhubarb. There's also a little bit of lychee in here, which complements the peony really nice. This fragrance is another perfume that lasts super long on my skin. It lasts all day with a great projection, super easy to wear, and versatile feminine perfume. Now, if you want something that is a little bit more affordable, I would recommend you go for Very Good Girl from Carolina Herrera. This is such a little gem of a designer scent, and in my opinion, this is the best from the Good Girl range. Very different to the original DNA that is more on the very intoxicating, creamy white florals with like a cacao, coffee touch, and almond. This is again a little bit almondy, but it's more built around rose and berries. This perfume makes me think of berries and cream sprinkled with rose petals. Beautiful, luxurious smelling perfume, sexy, versatile as well, more so than the other fragrances from the Good Girl range. You can wear it during the day, during the night, super easy, all year round, good perfume with good performance as well. It's long lasting and projects well. For me, this is a 10 out of 10 designer scent. And the number one most hated niche fragrance is none other than Baccarat Rouge by Maison Kurkdjian. I'm gonna be honest, I don't reach out for it as much as I used to because I've smelt it everywhere. It is literally everywhere. Everyone is wearing this perfume. This is like the Dior Sauvage of niche fragrances. It is super popular. So, as an alternative to Baccarat Rouge that not a lot of people have heard about or are wearing, so it'll still be unique, it is For Your Love by Mizensir. Now, For Your Love by Mizensir is not a dupe for Baccarat Rouge, don't get me wrong, but if you like Baccarat Rouge, there's a good chance you also love For Your Love. So this perfume has a big dose of ambergris. Baccarat Rouge has ambroxan, so you're gonna find some similar notes, but with this one you have a fruity note of raspberry and there's some woods in the background to also support the fragrance. So this to me smells like a powdery raspberry fragrance with powdered sugar, but predominantly a powdery raspberry note with an addictive base of ambergris. Very addictive, feminine, and sexy. Highly recommend you try it if you are tired of smelling Baccarat Rouge everywhere. And that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, spread the fragrant love.